Good morning. Hello, can you hear me? Is the mic on? That's right. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Ben. Good morning. My name is Paul Langston Daly, and I am your Minister for Social Action here at First Parish in Concord. My pronouns are he and him, and we welcome you all this morning. We are a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and love lies at the center of our faith. We covenant to transform and grow spiritually and ethically as we adapt to the changing world. With humility and reverence, we acknowledge our place in the great web of life. In this congregation, we affirm that Black Lives Matter as we embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. We're glad you're here. If you're visiting us online this morning, welcome. We're glad you're here. We hope you'll take a minute to say hello to our chat host. And if you're here in person, welcome. We hope you'll take a minute at coffee hour if your first time here to say hello at our welcome table during coffee hour. A couple of quick announcements. You're all welcome to join us for coffee hour downstairs in our parish hall. At the same time, we'll be also having a worship sharing circle in the Brooks room, which is down the stairs here. Someone can direct you. And that's an opportunity to reflect more deeply on the content of today's service and to share with one another what this experience has been like for you. So we welcome you to join us there. Jen Izzo, are you here? There she is. Jen Izzo is our board rep today. So if you have any questions about the congregation, please see Jen. She'd be happy to answer any questions. There's an election coming up. I know that there are some people who have some anxiety about that. So we are part of a group of congregations across the country, and we are engaged in a Let's Do Something campaign. So stop by the table for our Reclaim Our Democracy group at coffee hour. You can get some information about phone banking or texting or door knocking or postcards and all of that. And we're tracking all of that in our congregation so we can become a good troubled church congregation. So please, every time you fill out postcards, every week, go into the QR code and let us know what you've done so we can keep track and make sure that we are representing all of the good work that's happening here. One other announcement, Men and Masculine Identified Persons Retreat is next Saturday from 9 to 2. If you're interested in participating in that, the topic is spirituality. You can see Jeff Clannon, who's here, or you can talk to me, and we'd be happy to answer your questions or give you more information. There's a wiggle room downstairs if you're having trouble staying still. The service is broadcast where an usher can direct you there. If you need help with anything, listening devices, play packets for kids, please see one of our greeters and they will help you out. And our opening hymn this morning, Come My Way, My Truth, My Life, number 89. Please join us.
Such a way as to serve as lead minister here at First Parish in Concord. This morning, we are going to call one another to worship with a responsive reading. The words come from one of our most influential ancestors of the last century, a powerhouse in liberal religious education, Sophia Lyon-Fahs. I will begin and invite you to respond with the italicized lines. The words will appear on the screen. We gather in reverence before the wonder of life, the wonder of being together, so close yet so apart. Each listening, each trying to speak. We gather in reverence before all tangible things, all that eyes see not, nor ears can detect.
That hands can never touch, that space cannot hold, and time cannot measure.
In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, when we gather to worship, we kindle a flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith. The light of the chalice calls us to be beacons of love, compassion, and hope in a beautiful and broken world. As Reverend Paul lights our chalice, please join in reciting the unison chalice lighting words. O flame of our faith, open our hearts and fill our bodies and souls with persistent strength. Enliven our spirits and engage us deeply in this life of ours, this sacred, essential moment now.
Good morning. That's my first check. How do I sound? Too loud? Good. You can hear me. Excellent. For those of you who I have not had a chance to meet, I'm the Reverend Amy Friedman. I serve as your Minister of Religious Exploration. And this happens to be one of my favorite seasons. Today marks the very beginning of our religious exploration. But not only that, the leaves are starting to change, and I love apple picking, and I love pumpkin patches. I want to know how many of you have seen that classic, it's the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. If so, give a little wave. Me too. In fact, my family watches it every year. We even have it on a VHS tape so that we were guaranteed to see it no matter what. Now, I want to remind you of a scene that happens very early in this little special, TV special. And Charlie Brown comes running in, as he often does, and he runs in and he says, "Oh, hey, I got an invitation to a party." And then he does a classic Charlie Brown move, which I've been practicing. He does a jig. And, thank you. Oh, poor Charlie Brown. I wish that was the response he got. But no, sure enough, he gets talked to by Lucy. Not sure I can call her his friend, more like neighbor, kid. And so Lucy says to him right away, "Charlie Brown, is that an invitation to Violet's Halloween party?" And he says, "Yes, it is. I've never been invited to a Halloween party before." And he does it again. You don't have to clap, but I am going to do it again. Dun, 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 dun. And then Lucy says, "Charlie Brown, there were two lists. One list to invite, and the other list not to invite. You must have been on the wrong list." Now, as you can imagine, Charlie Brown puts his head down like this, and he doesn't jig. How do you think Charlie Brown feels when Lucy says that to him? Just call it right out. Depressed? Sad? Rejected? Hurt? Excluded? How did Charlie Brown feel when he was invited? Included, delighted, happy, excited, joyful, exuberant. Yes, that happy dance, right? Exuberant. I want you to know that the theme for September here at First Parish in Concord is invitation. And we are all invited. And do not let anyone like Lucy tell you otherwise. Even that little voice, you know, that one that comes from other times and places or within yourself that tells you you're not worthy, you are invited. And we are going to be working together to explore themes throughout the entire year, and it's all ages, so not only in religious exploration, but here in worship, in our small groups, through our music. And this will give us an opportunity as a all ages community to deepen our understanding of how we practice our values as a Unitarian Universalist community. But that's not all. You are invited in October to deep listening, November in repair, December presence, January story, February inclusion, March trust, April, May, June are joy, imagination, and freedom. I'm excited about this. And I want you to know that today in our religious exploration, we are going to be singing, making a joyful noise with Anderson. We're going to be singing some songs to invite our hearts to open up and invite us to connect to one another. We're also going to be making posters to invite people to register to vote or to make a plan to vote as a part of our Reclaim the Democracy. And the teens are going to be making pet toys as part of the Women's Parish Association initiative to raise some funds for UU the Vote. So you can, if you so choose, purchase these pet toys at coffee hour and help us be a part of that bigger invitation into a vibrant democracy. And with that, let us join in singing, and all young people, including our high school teens, are invited as well. We're going to go out back to explore together. Thank you.
Each month, we share our weekly collection with organizations that you, members of our congregation, are involved with. This morning, our September Share the Plate, we welcome Steve Bingaman, who is the Executive Director of Outdoor Church, to share with us a little bit more about this important organization and the service to the community that they provide.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be speaking before you today. I'm Steve Bingaman. I'm a minister with the Outdoor Church of Cambridge. Some 60 years ago, I began my faith journey in the classrooms and chapel of this church. I'm the son of the late Cynthia Newbold, a longtime community member. It's nice to be home. The Outdoor Church, a non-denominational Christian church, has been steadfastly caring for Cambridge unhoused, homeless, and street-involved community for over 20 years. Our commitment is to unwavering as we continue to offer worship services and food outreach outside on the streets, meeting the community where they are, however they are. Our work is made possible by the generous support of local churches and faith communities. They provide sandwiches, snacks, water, various clothing items, and most importantly, volunteers to help us distribute these items and extend care, compassion, and kindness to those in despair. Together, our goal is to instill a renewed sense of dignity and personhood in a community that many people wish would be invisible. We do offer the community food and other essential items to help them live, yet it is in the human connection, the recognition of their humanity, that is the meaningful gift that we give. By listening, caring, showing compassion, we provide the unhoused, homeless, and street-involved people a sense of hope, a feeling that their life is renewed in that moment of brief connection. When we offer compassion and hospitality, not only do we nourish the lives of those we care for, but our lives become nourished as well. We invite you all to stop by our table during coffee hour. Mara Dolan, a board member, and our soon-to-be Governor's Council representative, and I will be there to answer questions that you may have about our work and to find out how you may want to get involved. Thank you for this moment.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you all for your generosity of spirit and resources, for all that we do to take care of those within these walls and beyond these walls. We are grateful.
The author, educator, and spiritual teacher Parker Palmer begins his book, A Hidden Wholeness, with a preface that he entitles, Prelude, the Blizzard of the World. He opens the prelude with an epigraph from singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen. The blizzard of the world has crossed the threshold, and it has overturned the order of the soul. There was a time when farmers on the Great Plains, at the first sign of a blizzard, would run a rope from the back door out to the barn. They all knew stories of people who had wandered off and been frozen to death, having lost sight of home in a whiteout while still in their own backyards. Today we live in a blizzard of another sort. It swirls around us as economic injustice, ecological ruin, physical and spiritual violence, and their inevitable outcome, war. It swirls within us as fear and frenzy, greed and deceit, and indifference to the suffering of others. We all know stories of people who have wandered off into this madness and been separated from their own souls, losing their moral bearings and even their mortal lives. They make headlines because they take so many innocents down with them. The lost ones come from every walk of life: clergy and corporate executives, politicians and people on the street, celebrities and school children. Some of us fear that we or those we love will become lost in the storm. Some are lost at this moment and are trying to find the way home. Some are lost without knowing it, and some are using the blizzard to cover while cynically exploiting it for private gain. That sounds a bit too familiar. So it is easy to believe the poet's claim that the blizzard of the world has overturned the order of the soul. Easy to believe that the soul, that life-giving core of the human self with its hunger for truth and justice, love and forgiveness, has lost all power to guide our lives. But my own experience of the blizzard, which includes getting lost in it more often than I like to admit, tells me that is not so. The soul's order can never be destroyed. It may be obscured by the whiteout. We may forget or deny that its guidance is close at hand, and yet we are still in the soul's backyard, with chance after chance to regain our bearings. This book is about tying a rope from the back door out to the barn so that we can find our way home again. When we catch sight of the soul, we can become healers in a wounded world, in the family, in the neighborhood, in the workplace, and in political life, as we are called back to our hidden wholeness amid the violence of the storm. That woke up my soul. At the opening of last week's sermon, I made a confession. I have another one. Last spring, after our exuberant candidating week, your interim minister, Reverend Seth, correctly advised you that I, like all ministers, humans that we are, would make mistakes. He was not wrong. But rather than have you wait in suspense, or worse, suspicion, for evidence of my fallibility, I figured I'd take a preemptive approach and selectively disclose various of my failures. In all seriousness, I do want to talk to you this morning about a mistake I made, a big one, because I believe that when we face our mistakes with honesty and even curiosity, we often find seeds of truth germinating in the cracks of that broken experience. The mistake I want to confess this morning is not one I made as a minister. You'll tell me about those. But rather as a parent, over a decade ago. It involves my youngest daughter, Carly, now 18 years old. I have her permission to share the experience with you in worship. My mistake was significant enough that I recorded it in my journal on April 25th, 2013. Carly had recently turned 7, and according to my journal entry, had lost her 2 front baby teeth 11 days prior on the eve of the Boston Marathon bombing. On that spring day, over a decade ago, in the world before Trump's presidency and COVID and the January 6th insurrection, I wrote this. The other night in bed, overtired and moody, Carly got really sad when I tried to offer some social coaching by suggesting that kids might not always appreciate or react well when she instructs or advises them, even though her intentions are pure and good. She immediately burst into tears because I thought her behavior was wrong. I tried to backpedal. Then her thoughts turned existential and dark. Mommy, why was I even created? I don't even have a purpose. I don't have any talents. Why am I even here? 7 years old. Parker Palmer contends that all of us, from our earliest days as children, have within us what the Catholic monk, mystic, and writer Thomas Merton calls a hidden wholeness. In his book of that name, Palmer goes on to explain that we are in tune with our innate wholeness when we embrace the guidance of our souls, that still, small voice of wisdom from within, what he also calls the inner teacher. Too often, the broken world, so stormy and violent, encourages us to silence our souls, to tuck that deepest, truest part of self into a safe but hidden corner of our inner world where it won't be overly exposed, vulnerable to judgment, rejection, shame, and trauma, but where it is also hidden and silenced. As a result, we become cut off from our own inner guidance. Parker explains this way. Afraid that our inner light will be extinguished or our inner darkness exposed, we hide our true identities from each other. In the process, we become separated from our own souls, we end up living divided lives, so far removed from the truth within that we cannot know the integrity that comes from being who you are. Parker Palmer believes this separation begins in our childhood, the more we are exposed to the outer world and its storms. I hear the beginning of that struggle of inner separation happening for Carly in the passage from my journal. When I offered what I intended to be gentle, constructive criticism, I got too close to the inner light of Carly's truest self and tried to dim it. In the spring of 2013, 7-year-old Carly was nearing the end of first grade. My bright, precocious, confident, outgoing, sunny child was loved and appreciated by her teacher and would continue to be for her entire school career. Since preschool, her teachers gushed to me that she was a model student, and they encouraged her to help her peers. Sometimes they told me they placed her seat strategically between students who might benefit from her example. That's a heavy load for a 7-year-old, but the role suited Carly to a T, and she embraced it. But I, her mom, fretted. I worried that this dynamic would make it difficult for her to connect in mutual friendship with schoolmates. I was beginning to see a pattern. I'd been through the ringer of middle school, and I wanted Carly to be prepared. Perhaps those fraught days following the Boston Marathon had unsettled my nervous system and heightened my parental protectiveness. I must have been acutely aware of how harrowing the human world can be. The blizzard of the world was howling at the door of Carly's childhood, her innocence. So I offered my baby girl what I intended to be some gentle redirection during our bedtime conversation. Carly saw right through my attempt at subtlety. The message she took was that something was wrong with her at the very core. The unique and special gifts she had to give the world, her smarts, her confidence, her leadership, her impulse to guide and direct, were unwanted. She heard me telling her to dim her inner light. Mommy, why was I even created? I don't even have a purpose. I don't have any talents. Why am I even here? I felt bad about what I said in the immediate moment, and it still makes me sad in retrospect. As it became more reflective in that same journal entry 11 years ago, I wrote this. This was before I was a minister, but that spiritual life was building. I wrote, I wish I told her that those are good questions. They are her soul and spirit calling out to the universe. I wish I had been better equipped to meet Carly's young soul in the moment, to make space in the gentle darkness of fading dusk, to let her spirit sing, to invite her spirit to sing. I did my best, I'm sure. I'm a good mom. But I know I tried to patch things over, to fix and save her, and most of all, to bury my own regret. Still today, I wish I handled that bedtime conversation differently, but the truth is, the world was going to give Carly the same message she took from me, not just once, but over and again. We all experience the crisis of inner separation. I don't think it's preventable. Perhaps it's even a necessary developmental part of childhood. We need to take cover from the storms of the world until we are better equipped, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually, to survive them. The work of maturity is to reconnect to our shy soul, our inner teacher, and to heed the song of the still small voice within. Palmer contends that our culture, too often, maybe even generally speaking, fails to provide the emotional, spiritual, and intellectual tools we need to reconnect to our inner teacher, to hear the voice of the shy soul. I agree. And correcting that has been Palmer's lifelong work, shaping the tools we need for this modern world and bringing them to people of all faiths and none in all kinds of vocations at many different stages of life. The tools he developed draw from traditional Quaker wisdom that teaches that all people have an inner light, a divine presence within that illuminates what the Quakers called God's will and the nature of the individual soul. Palmer also draws on Quaker spiritual practices of stillness, silence, and community to help people heed the wisdom illuminated by their inner light. One of his most popular concepts is the circle of trust, a small group of participants who gather regularly over a defined span of time to explore the deep questions and challenges of living. Questions like the ones that tugged at 7-year-old Carly. Why was I even born? Why am I even here? What is my purpose? What are my talents? My gifts? The circle of trust is facilitated by a leader, and all participants agree to uphold and practice touchstones, the principles that ensure that a circle of trust is just that, a trustworthy space for the shy soul to emerge and speak its truth. Things like give and receive welcome, honor and learn from the silence. When the going gets tough, turn to wonder, observe deep confidentiality, no fixing, no saving. Learn to ask open and honest questions. If you've been in a small group setting with me already, you have likely heard me speak of the touchstones. And if you haven't, you will before long. Parker Palmer's teachings have shaped my own spiritual growth and leadership, my approach to almost all aspects of ministry, and my relationships more generally, to congregants and colleagues, friends, family members, and most of all, to my own shy soul, which isn't so shy anymore. Which is why I get up in this pulpit and speak about my mistakes and failings and about what I've learned from them. When I invite my own shy soul to speak to you in worship, I intend for it to be an invitation to your shy soul. Because the shy soul takes courage not from solitude, but from other shy souls who emerge and speak their truth into the light of day. The shy soul takes courage from community. In a community that is welcome and trustworthy, free from judgment and hidden agendas, the soul is inspired and emboldened by other souls who speak courageously from a place of deep, vulnerable, authentic wisdom. Our inner wisdom is encouraged and enriched by each other's. Worship can and should be that kind of trustworthy space, but it has its limits. You will have noticed that the preacher does most of the talking. My soul takes up a lot of bandwidth in worship. So, we need trustworthy spaces that invite all souls, not only to listen, but also to speak. Here at First Parish in Concord, your tradition of a worship sharing circle that happens immediately after worship is one such space. How was your soul awakened, invited by the message of worship that came from your worship leaders' souls? Many of you participate in small group ministries and other spiritually focused small groups whose purpose is to create trustworthy space for the shy soul to show up. I highly recommend them. It's what church is. One of my greatest aspirations for our shared ministry is that not only these select ministries that I've just named, but all of our groups and gatherings, committees, and activities at First Parish in Concord will be trustworthy spaces for our shy souls to show up authentically. Too often, even in spiritual communities where we come to be our best selves, the outside voices that divide and silence infiltrate and sabotage our best intentions. In this spiritual community where love is at the center, let's clear away the noise and clamor of the outer world storms. Let's listen past the voices we've internalized from the outside. First and foremost, those voices from our formative experiences of childhood rejection. We all know them. Voices from a hierarchical society that unjustly assigns degrees of worthiness. Voices from a culture that prioritizes competition over collectivism. Reconnecting to the inner wisdom of our souls is about more than healing our own divided lives. It is, as Parker Palmer teaches us, about healing our wider world, bringing peace to our world. We need to bring our souls with us into all of the communities we inhabit, those spaces where we connect and collaborate with other people, so that we can tend to the world's brokenness, guided by the wisdom of our collective inner teachers, our truest and deepest selves. If we tend to the world's brokenness from a place of self-protectiveness, divided inner lives, fear, doubt, shame, and distrust, how can we possibly build the beloved community that truly honors our shared belonging, where we all can grow into the fullest expression of our unique humanity? Let us instead tune our ears to the voice of the soul that sings from the deepest chambers of heart and mind. Let us open our ears to the exquisite soul songs of all the faithful companions who accompany us on this wild journey of living. May the songs of our souls guide us home to our truest selves and to the beloved community of our highest ideals. Day is a break-in in our souls.
Let us take a breath together. Each week we gather to share and learn together, to experience something greater than ourselves and beyond our own understanding. We repeat this practice, reminding one another to breathe, to reach out, and to remember that there is more than this, and we are not alone. We deepen our connection to all that is when we share in one another's joys and sorrows, sacred milestones that carry us to this time and place in which we gather with open minds and loving hearts. Today, we hold in our thoughts Susie Weaver, whose daughter Chloe married Joey O'Shea on Saturday, August 10th in Farley, Vermont. They are living in Northampton, Massachusetts, and occasionally attend First Parish when they're in the area for holidays. We hope to see them soon. Janet Lewis Jeffries, mother of Nan Jeffries, died peacefully in her sleep last month at the age of 98. Her extended family will gather for a celebration of her life in Malibu, California next month. Kimma Brainard's mother died on August 28th in Minnesota after a brief journey with cancer. Marshall Moore, whose beloved Aunt Jan French passed away last week at the age of 89. We hold Vivian and Dean Aldrich, who are grateful for support as Vivian recovers from heart surgery. For those interested, a meal train has been created and we can get you more information about that. And Elizabeth Townsend and Jeff Green asked to share that they have celebrated their 50th anniversary this year. In naming the sacred milestones of our lives at First Parish members, families, and friends, we deepen our connection with one another and to the places, stories, and traditions in which we find meaning. I now invite you to speak aloud the names of the people that you carry in your heart today, in celebration or in sorrow, milestone or memory. And knowing there are shy souls among us, I invite us to take a deep breath. And for those who have not yet shared, I invite you to do so, if you so wish. For all those named and none named, we hold you in our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers. And I invite you now to pray with me. Great Spirit of love, God of many names, we call on you to be with us this day in this collective moment of reflection, remembrance, and gratitude. In the silence and the still with us, be with us here now to heed the song of the still small voice within, to hold us in your tender embrace. May your strength, embodied in the spirit of this community, expressed as empathy, compassion, and justice, be known to those who are faint-hearted and those who are suffering. May your delight, embodied in the spirit of this community, expressed as festivity and jubilation, be known to those who are celebrating and those with deep gratitude. May your love, embodied in the spirit of this community in so many ways, continue to be expressed as connection, hope, caring, and justice for all. May we remember always that your spirit of love resides within us, among us, around us, being in all, calling to us, in the silence and the stillness, holding us in tender embrace, calming our fears, quenching our tears, through all the years, whispering this truth: love resides at the center. May peace be upon you. May all beings be at ease. Amen, and blessed be.
Please receive these words from George Fox, 17th century founder of the Society of Friends. Sing and rejoice, ye children of the day and the light, for God is at work in this thick night of darkness that may be felt. And the truth doth flourish as the rose, and lilies do grow among the thorns, and the plants atop the hills, and upon them the lambs doth skip and play. May the truth of your souls emerge from the thick night of darkness and flourish in the light of the hilltops and the valleys, till turning, we come round right. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Our time of worship is coming to its close. Let us end, as is the tradition of this beloved community, by giving and receiving our unison benediction. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings.
Ah.